Ms. Bonnie Grady.
Commissioners?
Good afternoon.
I can wait until you finish what you're doing.
We're taking notes.
Thank you for your attention. There's been a lot of public interest in the issue of an elected official using county resources for individual purposes. A lot of coverage in the media. So I'm here today to issue you a couple of challenges. As the practitioners of open government, as you say you are, I'm going to challenge you to conduct whatever, quote, disciplinary action may be discussed, whether it's deemed to be required or necessary or appropriate, that it be discussed in public rather than behind closed doors, because this is not an ordinary employee discipline problem or an employee issue. It's about an elected official. And how, Mr. Howard, as you've told me before, you're not responsible for the actions of individual board members, so it would be inappropriate for the board to hear such a case or such a matter regarding another commissioner. If the lowest ranking county employee were to do something inappropriate, he or she would be counseled by their supervisor. If the supervisor did something wrong, he or she would be counseled by the department head. If the department head did something wrong, it would come before the Board of Commissioners, most likely. But when it's a commissioner who has conducted questionable behavior, it's the public that needs to hear the actions. And if you can't do that, my second challenge to you is turn this over to the Ethics Commission. That's their function. And if you can't do that, then I'm sure I'm not the only one that's going to have to assume that this is not truly the open government that you like to claim it is, Commissioner Howard. You're developing a dangerous pattern here. Within the last 10 days, 2 of your constituents have appeared before you and asked questions, and you've said that you would not answer those questions in an open forum. But then you spoke to the media, in one case, just within hours after the questions were asked, about the very same topics. I'm concerned that you're conducting county business in the media rather than in open session. I'm especially concerned because a county employee, a high-ranking county employee, told me 10 days ago, no, actually it was a week ago, that when I asked for something with a particular document through a PIA, I could have that document because the media had already asked for it. It was already out there. That's not how it works, folks. Public Information Act requests are for the public as well as the media. And if you refuse to answer something on behalf of that a member of the public has presented to you, then you're not doing your jobs as elected officials in an open government. And I have one last question. I know you're not going to answer it because Commissioner Howard has said he's not going to answer any more questions, but maybe one of the others of you would like to answer this question. We learned about the possibility of disciplinary action in this situation through the media. My question is, when was that decision made that disciplinary action would be considered? And I'm wondering if I might get a response from that outside of this public meeting. If the president of Citibank or Bank of America or any other large corporation did something wrong, their shareholders would hold them to task. If you don't allow us that right as shareholders of Carroll County government, then you are depriving us of our rights in a democratic society. And if you don't feel that you can accomplish this by either doing it openly or by turning it over to the Ethics Commission, then you need to consider a change of venue and have this matter handled by another local government or state government. Perhaps the State Ethics Commission would be the appropriate venue.
Thank you. Mr. Bob Kerwin. Next on the agenda, and I don't know why it was not in the briefing documents, but this is a draft document of building use policy. And this did come up as a consequence of the discussion, or the suggestion of a meeting, Commissioner Frazier, your meeting. I do want to clear up one really gross misconception that somehow happened as a result of the newspaper coverage. There was some, I guess, look at our policy as it related, I think, maybe to the email or something like that. And then there's some sort of inference that the board has initiated some sort of an action or discussion or anything related to some sort of disciplinary, which, first of all, the board doesn't have the purview to do anyhow. I mean, you answer the voters just like the rest of us, and it is what it is. So I don't know where that notion came from, but it has just never been discussed, and so it's not part of this discussion either.
And I want to say the first time I heard anything about it was when I read it in the newspaper, and I was shocked.
Well, the only time I've heard anything about it was in the newspaper.
Right.
So
None of us knew it. So this was something that apparently somehow something happened without our knowledge to result in an article going in a newspaper that was a surprise to all of us because we hadn't. I was shocked by it when I read it.
Well, it actually was very nice. I got lots of calls and emails of encouragement and way to go and hang in there and what's wrong with prayer and probably, I would have only sent out one email to invite folks, and now I got a whole bunch of publicity, so thanks.
Okay. Well, I do think that one thing that was in question was if we're going to use the room for that purpose for something that was basically like an employee group meeting or something like that, that we should just acknowledge in a policy that any employee group can use that room, and I guess we've never had that policy, and I think that's all that this is intended to do. All right.
Are we being asked to adopt this today, or?
Well, if we're ready to.
Mr. President, I would move that we adopt this county office building meeting space for employee activities document, which prescribes the conditions and times for use of our rooms within government buildings by our employees, subject to the modifications that you suggested, which are that the employees may use room 007 during normal business hours on their own time, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Now, the only thing that's in here that I don't know if it's a problem or not, but it does say to make it at least 10 days in advance, no more than 3 months prior. So if this is something in my case that I'm going to do every week for as long as I'm here, that means I guess I just have to renew it every 3 months. Is there a particular reason for that? I mean, one way or the other?
Well, from a
Okay.
Commissioners, since you answered a question for Ms. Jones, I wonder if you would answer one for me, please. Just a point of clarification. If, Commissioner Frazier, you're going to use the room, as you've said, on a weekly basis under the employee guidelines, that would take meaning then that you would be having these weekly meetings as an employee, not as an individual. Is that correct?
Correct.
So as an employee...
Weekly or monthly?
It's weekly.
Is it weekly? Okay.
It said monthly, but it should have said weekly.
Okay.
So as an employee and an elected official of Carroll County government, you're going to host meetings for the purpose of having prayer in the county office building. Is that correct? I just want to be clear.
Now, I am going to every day on Thursday.
every week.
Every week on Thursday. Some days seem like a week. Go into room 07 and have a prayer time, and I invited anyone who would like to join me who is an employee to do so.
I think I understand the
If nobody
purpose.
comes, it'll just be me.
I understand the purpose of the meeting. I'm just asking, in what capacity are you doing that? Are you doing that as an individual, as you've said repeatedly in the media, or are you doing it as an employee under the employee public use guidelines?
There are no guidelines at the moment, but I was doing it as an employee, anybody else who works in this building. I work in the building for efficiency, convenience sake. That's where I'm going at lunch.
Okay, so as an employee, you will be hosting prayer meetings once a week in the county office building.
Now, as an employee, I will be going to room 07 and having a prayer time. If anybody would like to join me, they're welcome to.
But you just said you were going to make that reservation on your own, that you would be submitting a reservation on an annual basis to reserve that room. So you are the organizer of the meeting in that case, as an employee.
I am, as an employee, reserving the room every Thursday for me to pray. And if any other employee would like to join me, they may.
Thank you for the clarification.